Welcome back. The EPA finalized a rule this week aimed at transitioning new cars and trucks from internal combustion to EVs. The goal is to have less than a third of all new cars and trucks be exclusively gas-powered by 2032. There's a lot that goes into that. So is it feasible? Let's talk about it with my guest tonight. He's Mark LaScola, a business expert and founder of On the Mark, up late with me tonight here on the Final Five. Mark, good to see you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
We do not have you on is in the capacity of an auto industry expert, but what I'm curious to see is your perspective on what it takes to get all of these shareholders and stakeholders to the table and trying to get them to work together towards a common purpose, like in this case, this transition to electric vehicles.
That's a really good question, Jim. I think the big thing for the audience to know is how you develop a policy is as important as what that policy is. And I think you've hit the nail on the head. There's a lot of stakeholders who have a stake in the outcome of changing any kind of emission standards. And I think what's unique about what was presented earlier this week on those new standards is having those stakeholders around the table and actually compromising, collaborating, recognizing that they all have some common ground, such as the climate is changing, air quality, health, continued competitive positioning, and I think that's what makes this this current policy particularly sustainable.
Because this is, I mean, we are transforming the way that we get around, and there's an idea that you talk about called collaborative business transformation, which when you see industries like the auto industry kind of move forward, and once upon a time, a long time ago, we were going from horse-drawn buggies to, to the Model T. So this is sort of that next evolution out there. Change is hard for a lot of people to grasp, whether it's in our everyday lives or in corporate life, though.
Yeah, it's funny that you even mentioned that. I'm actually in the process of looking for the next automobile for myself. And I'm wrestling between, do I do a hybrid with some battery, electric and or gas, or do I do full battery? And one of the concerns that I have is I drive quite a bit and I travel, and will there be enough stations? So I think at this time of change, we're all kind of deliberating that. But one of the things I want to emphasize, which I think is brilliant in the policy, is that they've given time for the infrastructure to be developed, which is why they didn't say, well, let's do it in 3 years or 5 years. Mm-hmm. Let's give it the time so we can properly develop the infrastructure. But you're right, change is hard, and I'm experiencing it firsthand, going, gosh, do I know where to go to charge my car? I'll have to get a charger for my own garage. So you're correct, and I think what's beautiful about this policy is, well, first of all, electric cars aren't new, so we already have some infrastructure.
Right.
But I think over time, everybody gets the fact that air quality, public health, with the climate changing, no matter where you stand on that, we're moving in that direction. And I think that given time, I know that industry in this particular instance ask for a little bit more time to make the change.
Yeah.
And I think that's also good for the public as well.
Well, I think
people aren't going to go from overnight from petrol or gas into electric. I think it's going to take some time.
Yeah, I think it's good when, and again, when you take those things into consideration, knowing that there will be a change at some point. But I want to talk to you as we look at what's happening in D.C. right now, where we have a Congress that takes things down to the wire all the time and trying to figure out how to keep the lights on here. What are some, I mean, what kind of lessons from the business world? Because we hear about politicians saying, I'm going to run it as a business. But business is not always a unilateral, this is how it's going to be. You have to listen to other people. You have to collaborate.
Boy, spot on, Jim. I think the thing that I would say, the lessons, first of all, is that for 35 years, On the Mark has made a living by doing very significant business transformation. By instead of going in as experts and telling everyone what to do, that we take businesses through a very rigorous decisioning process where they become co-authors of their own change. It's hard for you to imagine that, but it's we do it every day, mm-hmm. All around the world. And one of the things is that I think is for sustainable change to take hold and stick and be meaningful is you have to bring the stakeholders around the table. You have to put the time and the effort to listen to each other. understand where each other's coming from, hear each other's concerns, and be prepared to compromise. And we do that every day in our business. Otherwise, businesses would never get on with it.
Right.
And you hit a really important point there is, being in a tell or compliance-based change is only going to get you so far. And what it ends up doing is people and the public in general can smell when they're either being gamed or really not, things aren't being transparent with them.
Right,
so
right.
what's important feature when you're doing collaborative work is being genuine and authentic and really, putting your cards on the table. It's core to this work.
Authenticity goes a long way. Mark LaScola, hey, thanks. I appreciate the insight on this because I think it's interesting how we have these policy discussions and there's a lot that goes into it. It's much more than my way or the highway. I'd love to have you back sometime. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jim.
Final Five is back after this.